Hello Tacticians, and today we're going to be looking at the latest character to come to us, Aesoth, the Vexilla Praetor. Now this is the second Custodes that we'll be able to unlock, and some of you have probably already unlocked Trajan. And if you have, I'm sure you're all levelling him up very quickly indeed. Is Aesoth a worthy addition? Well, like the other Custodes that we've seen so far, he has the martial Qatar, which means normal attacks will deal 20% less damage, and he will do 100% more damage against summons. This guy is also a big target, which I guess is quite useful when we look at his skills in a little bit. And he is also resilient, so these Custodes are starting to look like they're going to be quite tough to kill. He has one physical attack, which is mitigated by his active ability, which he can use every 3 rounds. Now, we'll get into the skills in a little bit, but why is this mitigated? Well, if he is next to Trajan with his passive, you'll see that friendly characters score 2 additional hits with their first attack that is not a normal attack. So if you're triggering his passive every 3 turns, you'll be getting those 2 additional hits. He will unlock at uncommon, so he will be fairly easy to unlock, and whoever your characters are, they'll be wanting to stand next to him because of that big target and his passive ability to stand vigil. So let's have a look at these abilities now. His active ability, Vexilla Magnifica, means, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, he'll be doing 1 lot of physical damage, and if Trajan's nearby, obviously that will increase to an adjacent enemy target and an additional adjacent enemy unit. So I think Trajan's ability is only going to affect the first one, not the second. Both enemies are then stunned. Now, stunned is a great ability as it will reduce the movement down to 1 and they'll deal less damage and can't use active abilities. So, pretty nice skill to have, especially because you can use it every 2 rounds. Then Aesoth becomes quite literally a tank because he then receives less damage for 1 round, and as I mentioned, it's got that cooldown of 2 rounds. His passive ability, the Stand Vigil, means you're going to want your characters standing next to this guy. That big shield of his can cover more than just him, because the friendly surrounding units have additional armour. And when you get up to the later levels, that's quite a lot of additional armour to have. But not only are they protected, he will actually allow your characters to do more damage that are not normal attacks. So again, we've got that synergy with not using normal attacks with your Custodes. And as we mentioned before, those abilities have a cooldown of 2 rounds, but the passive is always there. So you should be able to switch between them fairly frequently. And then on top of that, if you've got another Custodes who uses one of their active abilities, this Stand Vigil will affect all friendly units within 2 hexes for 1 round. This guy is quite literally going to be an all-star when it comes to the legendary events. He's just going to stand there and protect everybody. But do you really want to have him for any other reason than the legendary events? Well, if there is indeed a team for the guild raids, which is purely Custodes, and you can always end up cycling through them all using a skill between each one and keep all those abilities working, then yes, he is going to be needed. But without knowing what the final 2 Custodes are going to be, it's still a bit of a toss-up. But I do believe this guy is going to be an absolute gem when it comes to legendary events. And, well, when they become useful in the tournament arena, that is going to be interesting too. So let's have a look at this guy in action. Let's start with the tried and tested test of Calandis doing an Overwatch shot. Now, bear in mind, that's a normal attack, and so we'll be expecting less damage. And there was a crit, and, well, he's still got half health left. That's pretty damn good, to be honest. So I'm wondering, can he survive a Revas Overwatch? And, well, here we are. Revas, currently in Overwatch. We've got Aesoth here, and I'm going to move to this location, and, well, let's see what happens. And that is quite impressive. It does look like the Custodes can withstand a Revas Overwatch, even though they don't have Terminator armour. I mean, admittedly, you're low on health, but if you absolutely have to, you can. So, with the Overwatch tests done, let's have a look at his active ability, the Vexilla Magnifica. So he's going to deal physical damage to an adjacent enemy and an additional adjacent enemy. So, nice and easy. Let's just target Revas. There was a crit there and a block, but as you can see, both are stunned. And if we skip forward to our turn again, you'll see we've got the cooldown for 2 more rounds. So let's get Trajan in there, use Trajan's active ability, and see what happens. So now, if we use Trajan's active ability, he's next to Revas. So I've got this on the slower setting. When we use the Vexilla Magnifica, we should see 2 hits on Revas and only 1 on Calandis. Well, I think we're going to have to rewind that and actually have a look at that in slow motion. So here we go, the hit's about to go in, and yep, there you go, 2 hits on Revas and 1 on Calandis. Whilst we've got Trajan here, if we look at the very interesting inquisitorial, I would have said, but must be Custodes as well, eye here, you can see the stand Vigil, which means he's going to deal 22% more damage with attacks. This is at rare, not normal attacks, and there's the additional armor, which you can see as a green buff here. So just standing next to Trajan buffs your armor and can buff your non-normal attacks. The final thing to consider is positioning when it comes to Custodes. So if you put Trajan in the right place and then activate his own active ability, he will now, because he's 2 hexes away, still get the buff from Aesoth for his defense, but he also triggers his own passive, which means when Aesoth attacks with his active ability, he'll get 2 hits on both of these. So let's attack Revas, and very clearly there were 2 hits on both, and it managed to kill Calandis. So positioning is key when you start using these Custodes together. So overall, a very interesting character. This guy is a defensive powerhouse, and he can also put out a little bit of damage as well, especially when backed up with Trajan and his other Custode pals. As with many characters, I would recommend unlocking if you can, and I don't think you'll be sorry that you have unlocked him and geared him up if you have managed to unlock Trajan, or you're wishing to unlock Trajan when that legendary comes around again. The Custodes look like they work very well as a team, and this guy is going to be very useful because of his active ability being on that cooldown and being able to reuse it. And it's going to be so good in other legendary events, and also in Trajan's legendary event, as there is a track which requires the resilient trait as well as physical. So yes, unlock and gear up. There could be a reason to use these in the guild raids as well, but I think we're going to have Kyrian unlocked before we start looking at if it's really worthwhile. The big question is, are these guys going to be good enough in the Taunt Arena to change what we're seeing there? But that's not a question for today. For newer players, if you can unlock him, he is a great start. He will certainly help you get through all of those campaigns. So I do recommend that you unlock him and get him as far as you can. He does unlock at uncommon, so he's a fairly easy unlock to get. All in all, I reckon this is a very balanced character, and, well, I can't wait to see what the future holds. If you like these videos, then it would be much appreciated if you at least think about using my friend code, as it really does help me out. Or if you or your guilds are looking for a new home, please reach out to any of the guilds shown, as we'll always welcome new people into our midst. As always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you on the battlefield.